Netflix, now a Netflix original series. DreamWorks, The Epic Tales of Captain Underpants. Wedgie Power Guidebook. Pull-out poster, Scholastic. DreamWorks, The Epic Tales of Captain Underpants. Wedgie Power Guidebook. Adapted by Kate Howard, Scholastic Inc. The Captain Underpants theme song, written by Jason Gleed, Sokan, Jordan Yeager, ASCAP, and Peter Hastings, BMI, from the television program The Epic Tales of Captain Underpants. Song lyrics used with permission. Contents. Chapter 1, Meet George and Harold. 4. Chapter 2, George and Harold's Greatest Pranks. 7. Chapter 3, Mean Old Mr. Krupp. 12. Chapter 4, Treehouse Comics Inc. 18. Chapter 5, The Origin of Captain Underpants. 26. Chapter 6, Melvin Sneedley and His Inventions. 32. Chapter 7, The Zany Kids of Jerome Horwitz Elementary. Chapter 8, The Strange Staff of Jerome Horwitz Elementary. 43. Chapter 9, Treehouse Comics presents its greatest hits. 51. Chapter 10, Captain Underpants' greatest battles of all time. 95. Chapter 11, George and Harold's Creed comic. 112. Chapter 1, Meet George and Harold. George, Harold. This is George Beard and Harold Hutchins. George is the kid on the left with the tie and the flat top. Harold is the one on the right with a t-shirt and a bad haircut. Remember that now. These two pranksters are best friends and neighbors. They are also 4th graders at Jerome Horwitz Elementary School, home of the Purple Dragon Sing-Along Friends, where you might hear them described as disruptive, bad attituded. But they are actually smart and sweet, and a bit silly. Their silliness gets them into a lot of trouble with the school principal, Mr. Krupp. Hope dies here. Sometimes the mischief these two leads to big trouble, but before I can tell you that story, I have to tell you this story. Chapter 2, George and Harold's Greatest Pranks. George and Harold love pranks. Sometimes the jokes are harmless, but sometimes their pranks have unexpected consequences, like making giant, cranky ridges attack the school. But that's a story for another time. Live by the prank, die by the prank, man. Wait, what's that? You can't wait? Fine, flip to page 96. George and Harold have done some really silly stuff during their time at Jerome Horwitz Elementary. Like that time they toilet papered Principal Krupp's car. TP! It's not just for tissues, it can also be for pranks. And it's really a dance! Not that gas isn't funny, not gas isn't funny, cause pranking with TP is always a blast. No one loves TP more than George and Harold, not for its intended use, but for pranks. George and Harold have successfully TP'd most items in their hometown Pequot, but they've always had their eyes on an even bigger prize. TPing the entire school is gonna be the greatest prank ever! We're gonna be legends! Then there was the time they used the Miami Sound Machine to have some fun with Principal Krupp's morning announcements. The Miami Sound Machine, created for one purpose. Fun. It's the Miami Sound Machine! It makes over 2,000 amazing sounds! And of course, who hasn't seen George and Harold's creatively rearranged signs around school? Cool fart mall, smell your own stinky feet! Be warned, we fart so loud. Chapter 3, Mean Old Mr. Krupp. The goal is 0 fun, people! 0! This is mean old Mr. Krupp, the meanest principal in the world. Mr. Krupp dislikes kids and fun, so he really dislikes George and Harold. 2 tigers take turns tasting tapioca. 2 tigers take turns tasting tapioca. I am a mountain! Hooga! This is your fault, even if it isn't. Just like you're in a court of law, you're guilty until proven innocent. Every time George and Harold get caught playing pranks, and also the rare times when they aren't responsible for mischief, they get called into Mr. Krupp's office. If you hit 500 visits to my office in one school year, I can send you to a work farm where you milk goats. We have a note from the doctor. That note is from a vet. My dogs hurt. I felt ill. I was catatonic. My throat was hoarse. Chapter 4, Treehouse Comics, Inc. Whenever they're not playing pranks on Principal Krupp, George and Harold spend their free time hanging out in the world headquarters of Treehouse Comics, Inc., aka the treehouse in George's backyard. Inside the treehouse, the two friends have created hundreds of comics starring some of the world's most amazing superheroes and villains of all time. The world headquarters of Treehouse Comics, Inc. Some of their greatest hits include Captain Underpants and the Dreadful Debacle of DJ Drowsy Drawers, Captain Underpants and the Blistering Blast of the Booming Butt Apocalypse, Captain Underpants and the Sinister Frights of Scaraka Fang, Captain Underpants and the Frenzied Forest of Flabby Flabulous. New handshake! Wait, doesn't it go hand, elbow, arm, knees, toes, and then screaming? Their comic books are always a hit with the other kids, kind of like free donuts or a $3 birthday check from Aunt Cornelia. George and Harold have made hundreds of hit comics, but everyone knows that their most important creation is the greatest superhero of all time. The one and only Captain Underpants. Chapter 5, The Origin of Captain Underpants. Get this, Captain Underpants is real. How exactly did this crime-fighting superhero leap out of George and Harold's comic books and come to life? Well, it's simple. After listening to Mr. Krupp yell at them one too many times, George and Harold decided to have fun with their cranky old principal. Using a 3D hypno ring, they hypnotized Mr. Krupp. At first, the boys just made him dance and had a blast watching their principal look silly. But then, they accidentally, kind of on purpose, made him believe that he was the original superhero creation, Captain Underpants. This tidy-whitey clad crime fighter appears whenever anyone snaps his or her fingers. When he gets splashed with water, he turns back into Mr. Krupp. Tra-la-la! Yes, that's right. With one simple snap of their fingers, all of George and Harold's problems with Mr. Krupp disappear. Snap! And Captain Underpants appears. I wear a pretty strong continental comic cap. You gonna bring the noise and turn the song against you. With a snap, he's the captain, not the brightest man. And don't forget, when he gets wet, your back, you'll begin, blah, blah, blah. Put it all together, what could possibly go wrong? Where are my clothes? Hey, who keeps stealing my clothes?